The rain fell in torrents, hammering the cracked streets of Riverton as Commander Amara Jenkins crouched beside her dented sedan. Her black hoodie clung to her skin, soaked through. A thin line of blood slid from her brow, but her posture remained unshaken. She stared through the storm at the three silhouettes emerging beneath the glow of a failing street lamp. Men she once believed in. Captain Daniel Ford led the trio, broad-shouldered and chin-tight with purpose. Officer Liam Carter trailed behind him, eyes sharp with suspicion. Beside them, Officer Ryan Vance swept a flashlight over Amara's face, the beam deliberate, accusing. None of them recognized her. Not like this, not out of uniform, not off the pedestal. But this wasn't a case of mistaken identity. It was deliberate. Amara had recruited each of them, taught them tactics, trusted their honor. Now their weapons were drawn and aimed squarely at her. Quietly, she tapped her phone's lock button twice through her hoodie pocket, activating a covert recording. Her breath stayed level. She noted Ford's stillness, Carter's sneer, the glint of something artificial in Vance's gloved grip. They had already pulled her from the car, slammed her into the hood, ransacked the interior. It was theater, a false narrative, all because Amara Jenkins was a black woman next in line to lead the Riverton Police Department, and some men couldn't stand that truth. The council vote was sealed, but not yet public. Amara had chosen to spend her final weeks as a civilian doing quiet field work, driving unmarked, taking notes, sensing the streets she was about to command. Riverton wore a polished face, but its underbelly smelled of rot. Institutional rot protected by silence and the status quo. Ford was the old guard. Everyone assumed he'd take over. Everyone but Amara and the mayor. License and registration. Carter shouted, wrapping the window before she had even shifted into park. Can you tell me the reason for the stop? Officer, she asked, her voice calm. Vance stepped forward. Nice ride. You sure it's yours? I bought it. I'm in law enforcement. They didn't flinch. Step out, Carter said. She did, reaching inside her glove compartment without consent. Smells like weed, Carter muttered. I do not consent to a search, Amara replied, her eyes steady. Vance shoved her forward, slamming her skull against the hood. A warm trickle slid from her temple. She fought to stay upright. No sudden moves, Ford warned. Handcuffs clicked too tight behind her back. Found something, Carter crowed, holding up a small plastic bag. Looks like we got a dealer. Amara said nothing. Her phone continued recording beneath her damp sleeve. Across the street, neighbors peeked from porches, some raising their phones. Amara clocked them all. Witnesses. Eyes requesting backup to South Elm and 4th. Ford said into his mic, narcotics in vehicle, suspect resisting. She wasn't resisting. She was watching, calculating. Within minutes, a second squad car pulled up. Officer Leo Stone exited with a swagger, his coat open, badge shining. He sauntered toward Amara and raised an eyebrow. So how we playing this? Soft or hard? I'll cooperate, Amara said. Too late, Stone smirked. With unnecessary force, he spun her and drove her shoulder into the car. Hands on your head, Carter leaned in, close enough for her to smell stale coffee. Women like you always think you're untouchable, Stone whispered. Not in Riverton, sweetheart. Amara tilted her wrist slightly. The recording continued. Let all be documented. Carter went back to rummaging through her sedan, now with performative gusto. Vance knelt beside the seat, slipping something under the cushion. Ford held a laminated sheet, reading fabricated charges. She's got no ID, Carter announced. Claims she's a cop. She said FBI. Vance added, amused. They were getting nervous now. Amara had once broken up an underground trafficking ring stretching from New York to Seattle. She'd led federal task forces. She trained agents, now guarding embassies. She knew exactly how men like this operated when no one was looking. But now everyone was. A crowd had gathered, 10, maybe 12 people. Some were filming. One teenage girl stood dead center, her phone aimed without flinching. Suspect found in possession. Ford declared loudly. Vehicle matches tip from dispatch. Amara raised an eyebrow. There had been no tip, just their own desperation. A child's voice from across the street rang out. Why is she bleeding? Silence. Stone's face hardened. Get them back, he snapped. Vance moved forward, hand resting on his holster. Amara didn't blink. She turned slightly toward the squad car's hood, catching a reflection in a rain puddle. Ford's hand slipping something into the back seat. She memorized every motion. Wrap it up, Carter muttered. She doesn't talk. She doesn't fight, Ford said. What is she hiding? Amara looked up slowly, locking eyes with the teenage girl still recording. The girl nodded, but a siren wailed in the distance. Closer, louder. Stone's radio crackled. All units at Elm and 4th. Stand by. Command override initiated by. Static. Ford stiffened. What was that? Carter's head snapped up. Did they say command? Amara smiled faintly, despite the blood on her face. They had no idea what was coming. The rain had stopped, but the damage had been done. Amara Jenkins sat in the narrow holding cell, bruised, bloodied, and silent. Her wrists throbbed where the cuffs had dug too deep. Her lip was split from Officer Carter's shove. The stale scent of bleach and rust clung to the air. She knew the station's booking room too well. Only this time, she wasn't the one doing the booking. She was the one being erased. Outside the bar door, she could hear laughter. Officers Carter and Stone were joking, confident. They believed they'd buried her under lies and powdered evidence. They hadn't recognized her at first, not in her trench coat, not in the downpour. And even when they did, the smirks deepened. You're just a woman with a badge, Stone had said. You forgot who runs Riverton. She hadn't. Captain Daniel Ford stormed into the room, his voice sharp. Open it. Stone hesitated. Sir, I said open it. The door clanged open. Ford stepped in, towering, jaw clenched. Amara, he said, his voice low. What the hell happened out there? You tell me, she snapped. Your men beat a black woman in the street, planted drugs, silenced witnesses, and now they laugh. Ford's face twitched. He looked away. I've got everything, Amara continued. Body cam footage, civilian recordings, my own recorder. And if you think I didn't send copies to the state AG's office before I left my car, you've forgotten who I am. Ford swallowed. It's complicated. No, she said, standing despite the pain. It's criminal. The room fell silent. A knock interrupted them. A young black female officer, Jackson, stepped in. Sir, Internal Affairs is here. So is Councilwoman Aisha Ramon. Media is gathering outside. Amara met Ford's eyes. You're out of time. 20 minutes later, Amara stood on the steps of Riverton PD, her bruises visible, her dignity intact. Behind her, Officer Carter and Officer Vance were led out in cuffs, their badges removed, heads low. Stone tried to protest. We didn't know who she was, but it only made it worse. Amara stepped forward, cameras flashing, the crowd restless. This is not about who I am, she said. It's about what I represent. If I hadn't been a police officer, if I'd been any other black woman on that street, I might not be standing here. Reporters leaned in. A silence stretched. I was profiled, assaulted, and framed by men sworn to protect. They didn't see a citizen. They saw a threat. And that is why change in Riverton will not wait. Her voice never shook. It rang through the cold morning air like thunder. I will not be silent, and I will not let this department bury another name. Cheers rose from the crowd. Councilwoman Ramon nodded solemnly behind her. Then Amara turned to leave, but a hand brushed her shoulder. It was Captain Ford. They're gone, he said. But Amara, you've started something. There are others. Amara narrowed her eyes. How many? Ford looked away. Too many. She nodded slowly. Then we keep digging. He hesitated. You think this ends with Carter and Stone? She shook her head. No, but it ends with me, because I'm not afraid to pull up the roots. As she walked down the steps, her phone buzzed with a new email. Subject, Internal Officer Reports, Riverton Division 2015 to 2024. As she opened it, scrolling past pages of redacted names, one line caught her eye, Lieutenant L. Carter involved in 4 civilian complaints involving excessive force. All dismissed. No internal investigation. And below that, case reopened per Chief Jenkins. Her smile was faint but resolute. The storm had passed, but the reckoning had just begun.